How's it going, everyone? This is a podcast that I did with ACG. You probably know ACG. He's like the #1 independent reviewer on YouTube. If you don't know him, I really recommend checking him out. And also another guy named Tarmack, who I hadn't actually met before this, but he's checked out his content. He makes great stuff. He was awesome to talk to. He's got a small up-and-coming channel, which I really recommend checking out. I'll leave links in the description below, but we just talked through E3 post-game, what we thought about it, what was going on. There's no footage or anything, like just our faces, so feel free to just have this going on in the background. You don't need to pay attention to what's going on in screen. This is as a compliment to my E3 wrap-up video that I just put out like a few hours ago, so check that out if you haven't already. And that's it. I hope you enjoy it, and I will see you next time. Bye-bye.
What's up, everybody? You should have heard some kind of entry from all three of us. I want to say thanks to these guys for showing up. We're going to do sort of a round robin here where we talk about E3. I've got some questions for Skill in particular because he went to E3. I want to sort of get his idea of what that was like.
Lucky bastard with his cheap flights and everything.
Yeah, no shit. Yeah.
Cheap flights from Australia, 15 hours, buddy.
Oh, dude, yeah.
Away.
Remember, one of the resources is time, and that cost him a lot, I think. So we're going to talk about a bunch of stuff. Each one of us is just going to ask some questions of the others and discuss it. If you get a chance, check out my description, their descriptions. We'll put everybody's YouTube channel in those. Feel free to subscribe to them. Awesome people. That's why they're on the podcast. If I can get them on, I always will. I got a chance to go on both of these guys' podcasts. They've both been on mine. It's a pleasure as always. The first thing I want to ask is, and I just want to start this right from the start, and that's game of the show. And there's a reason why, and I won't tell you guys till you guys answer the question. But when it comes to E3, Tarmac, what was your game of the show and why?
I have to say too. I'm actually really excited for Fallout 76 myself. I think it's going to be a blast. I enjoy games that you make your own fun. I liked Sea of Thieves. You know, a lot of people didn't. I enjoy that. It's good. You get friends together. But the reason I say I have two is that there was one that completely surprised the hell out of me because I was watching the trailer and I'm no interest at all. And that was from the PC show, Maneater.
Oh, dude. Agreed.
It's just because I have a problem with deep water. I'm not a big fan, that whole thalassophobia thing and all that.
Right.
But then they show that you're playing the damn shark. Oh, sign me up. Yeah.
I don't know about you too. Did you see when they said single player campaign, my brain went, are they doing Devolver Digital and fucking with me? Like a single player shark campaign, and then they're all skill trees, and I was like, he's not fucking joking. Like, this is all gonna be, oh dude, I contacted them right away. I was like, I want to cover it as soon as possible.
It's definitely my biggest surprise of the show.
Right.
But no, I'm really looking forward to Fallout 76. I think it's gonna be a lot of fun. It's not a traditional Fallout game, but so what? Neither was Fallout 3 if you really want to, go down that road.
For sure.
It was a totally different
thing
with the same world.
I feel like they're a bit cheeky though, like in the way they're talking about it. I feel like Todd is trying to have it both ways. Do you know what I mean? Like he's sort of saying, yeah, I promise it's really a Fallout game. Like it's totally a Fallout game. And then they ask all the questions and he basically describes something that is absolutely not a Fallout game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is definitely a cheaper way of doing it, right? I mean, you're going to go and do Fallout 5, the amount of art assets you're going to have to do and engine revisions and all of that kind of stuff, it's immensely expensive to do that. But if you take, well, we've already built the game, so let's change VATs and put in 30 people into a map and, why not? I mean, the amount of resources they'll dedicate to that have to be very little. But yeah, they had a lot of fun with their press event, that's for sure.
Yeah, definitely. I don't know, because yeah, you go. Sorry,
I was going to ask you if you got to go.
I was at the press event. Yes, I was for Bethesda, and but we all saw the same thing. You guys probably got a better view than I did on stream, if you know what I mean, because I was sort of in the cheap seats at the back. But yeah, I mean, I feel like I'm actually looking forward to 76 as well. I think it looks pretty cool. I like the idea of it, but I do feel as though that they're being quite coy with the way they're describing it. And I think a lot of the frustration from the community has just been about them saying, like, halfway between, yeah, this is a Fallout game, you're going to love it, it's got all the traditional things that make it a Fallout game, except, oh, by the way, there's no NPCs. It's like, cool, how do we have a Fallout game with no NPCs? That makes no sense, So I think those clarifications, as they come over time, people will probably be happy with the title. But right now, everyone's just kind of pissed off that Todd's not being straight up.
Yeah, and there's been a couple of clarifications on some of that too. Is that there no human NPCs, but
there are robots.
They've got robots, and then they've got this sort of ghoul race that you're going to interact with in some respects. So okay, so one type of skin is exclusive to PC, and everything else is
right. What about you, Skill? Like when you're looking at the titles you got to see, I don't know how much you can talk about some titles because I know there's some NDAs that are actually still on for some of the bigger titles. But is there anything that really caught your eye?
So in terms of what I played, because obviously the E3 is like where you can see in the public, there's behind closed doors showing, which is just a select group of people, and then there's the hands-on stuff. What I actually played, funnily enough, Rage 2 was my game of show.
Wow, really?
Rage 2 is, like, when you actually play this, it is fucking fun. It is such a great shooter, like, because obviously it's an id game, you know, and they made Doom and et cetera, they make the best shooters on the planet. And then at the same time, it's Avalanche Studios, and if you've never played Just Cause games, you should totally have a look at them because they're absolutely insane fun. The bit I played was only a sort of indoor component, so I only just saw the shooting mechanics. I didn't see it in the open world, but I swear to God, it has the best shotgun I've ever used in any video game. It is the most satisfying gun ever. It kind of like the way it kicks, the sound that it makes, it actually like gut punches enemies. If they're against a wall, they'll like push against it, splatter against the wall. Like it's incredible. It's so good.
Better than Doom, eh?
Oh, 100%. I mean,
wow.
We've played every shooting game ever. And I'll rephrase, the shotgun is better than the Doom shotgun.
Okay.
I'm just saying that the shooting mechanics feel very id. You know, they feel like they've really got it right. And they've added a whole bunch of powers as well. So like, you know, you can jump up in the air and slam down on enemies. There's a wing stick, which is like a boomerang thing, which can track. There's a whole bunch of like, it's ability driven, and that really breaks up the combat rhythm as well, because that's something that Doom doesn't have. Doom is always your weapons, versus Rage 2 is like, hey, let's spice things up a bit, you know? So I think when people see this and get their hands on it, they're going to be really impressed by it. I walked into to Rage being like, yeah, this looks pretty cool. I'm excited for this. And then I walked out of there being like, man, I cannot wait for this. This is so awesome, you know? So that was great. The other one was Cyberpunk, because, you know, I managed to get an invite to that behind closed door session. And I mean, Cyberpunk is just like, it's incredible. Like every bit of hype that you've heard, it's all real, you know, like it's all justified. I know everyone's like, fuck off, man. Everyone's so excited for Cyberpunk, but like it actually is. If you saw the footage, you'd be like, okay, now I get it. You know what I mean? It's imagine the strong storytelling and writing of The Witcher. Imagine the open world of Grand Theft Auto, but bigger and more populous and more vibrant and more interesting. Imagine the sort of augmentation and RPG of Deus Ex. Imagine really accomplished first-person shooter combat like we've seen in many, many games. Imagine this brilliant atmosphere. And then imagine like it's made by CD Projekt Red, who you know are going to make a great game and not screw us in the process. Like all of those things in combination are just amazing, and they're all delivered so perfectly in that 1 hour. It was pretty mind-blowing.
When you were there, did you get an opinion of why they didn't show it to everybody, Skill?
Well, first of all, I asked a whole bunch of CD Projekt Red guys about that. They were coy. They were like, we just want to show it to some journalists. They didn't say much. But, you know, I'm going to guess one of two things. I'm going to guess one, it's pretty good marketing to have people like myself, other YouTubers, gaming journos, just gushing about this, oh my God, footage. And everyone's like, please, I need to see this footage, builds the hype, right? It's very clever marketing. I think the other thing is the downgrade risk.
Sure.
I cannot see how this will happen on current gen hardware. And they promise it happens on current gen hardware. I can't see it. Like, sorry, but I just can't. I watched this footage. We've never seen an open world this big run this well. Anything close to that on this current gen. So I'm very sure that we're probably going to see some sort of downgrade.
Sure.
They're probably fine-tuning that before they go out with a public release, because obviously they had the Witcher 3 downgrade issues, you know.
Yeah, they got really burned on that for sure.
They did, and that's like the one blotch on their perfect record, so to speak. So if I was to hazard a guess, I would say it's probably because of that, you know. But we'll see. I've also heard rumors they'll show this gameplay at Gamescom, at which point that can't be true what I just said, because they're not going to be able to optimize the engine enough in the next 2 months to get it, this gen ready. So it's a big question mark. I honestly don't know. I don't know.
I don't know, man. I guess I'll have to believe you. Well, because I saw maybe a snippet of it, and I agree totally that the downgrade. I'll cover that in, actually, anybody who watches my channel, I am going to do a video on game development cycles and where a downgrade can happen, because I know people get pissed, but the fact is if you look at the way development works, downgrades are completely possible, as well as upgrades. Yeah. It depends on where your target is and where you're aiming. Watch Dogs being probably the largest impactor for the gaming community when it comes to trust. I think gamers felt burned, and I get it, but at the same time, they were mid-gen, and they were aiming for far greater specs than we got. So
I did one on that same sort of topic, and it was about The Witcher 3, and it was, there's this real elitism about, well, my PC can run it, so it should be designed for my PC. Well, the fact of the matter is, they wouldn't have made the money that they made, which has now funded Cyberpunk to exist, if the consoles weren't considered as part of their design.
Yeah.
Right. That's why they made the money that they made. It's why we're going to get another great game. So.
Yeah, and I think people forget about SKUs. I mean, if you have a low, medium, and high SKU, anybody watching, if you have a low, medium, and high SKU on your PC, guess what? You can also push a button and have a console SKU. That's pretty much how development works. So I think we will see a now version, an X version, a Pro version, PC Ultra version kind of thing, and next gen version. Yeah, and since Microsoft's already said everything's forward and backwards compatible on their side, I'm assuming PS5 will be the same thing, and you'll be able to play, on whatever system you own, which I think is a positive. So for me, game of the year, or game of the E3, not game of the year, Jesus, game of the E3,
a little early yet, eh?
Definitely Forza 4, and there's a reason why. First of all, I've wanted I love Forza Horizon 3. Like, it's one of the most enjoyable racing games to me. But it's because they showed it being played. I didn't get to see Cyberpunk like a lot of people. I didn't get hands-on with some of these games. But a lot of titles were just showing a fucking icon or a theme or a trailer, and it was a word, Starfield. It's like, I don't care. That's a font. It means nothing.
Yeah.
I love the fact that a new Elder Scrolls is being worked on, but if you did not know that a new Elder Scrolls is being worked on, you do not exist in the game industry. Of course they're making that. Forza 4 showed insane graphics fidelity for consoles, which they were showing on the X and the original. And to me, that's a game that's there. We know its release date, and I'm just a huge racing fan. So to me, that was definitely the one. There was, Last of Us 2 looked great, but it also looked like the Tomb Raider demo. I don't know if that was just me, but I swear to shit, when I looked away and looked back, I was like, they're showing Tomb Raider again, and then it clicked, and I was like, oh, they both chose the general, what would you like, gameplay, I guess? Would you guys agree?
That one was too much. I mean, I'm watching the trailer, and the more that they show, the less convinced that I am that it's actually gameplay. Like, it's too good. And it can't be. There's no way, that's an organic combat sequence or anything like that an actual player will ever see. It's never going to happen. But they kind of masquerade it behind this vertical slice, very heavily scripted gameplay sequence, and then they can say, "Oh, this is in engine. Looks good, sure." But I don't know. It just felt like too much. It did seem quite Tomb Raider-y, very, counter combat and stuff like that, right?
Yeah, and for me, the first thing I noticed is, and I want to make sure that people don't just absolutely attack on when we're saying that it's not gameplay. It's not that we don't think it's a vertical slice from gameplay. It's the fact that some things were timed purposely for that demo. The turning of an AI just when the guy does this. Those kind of things can be tuned for a demo, and what happens is it looks slicker. Like when they were running, grabbed a bottle, threw it, leapt over there, and I'm like, it's great, and we all have those experiences in good shooters. In fact, Skill was just talking about Rage 2. Rage 1 had moments where things just hit, and you were on beat after beat, and you were like, holy fuck, and then it falls apart, because that's how a game works. It's interactive. You won't move forward when it expects you to, that kind of stuff. So, I was very impressed with it. But did you have anything to add to that, Skill? I think you were going to...
I don't know. I'm the one guy that doesn't really like The Last of Us very much. I think it's fine, but...
I don't either.
I just think it's like... I don't know, it's a cool story. It's like the same zombie story that we've seen in like lots of other movies and games and stuff, and it's well told, really great voice acting and nice facial animations, but the gameplay I just find so dull. And I don't know, I look at the rest of the industry and I'm always just like, I don't understand the Last of Us thing. I don't get it. You know, I wish I did, but I just have never been able to connect with it. So
I have a real soft spot for limited resource and hardship. So like the old Resident Evil kind of games and things like that, where you don't have access to as much stuff. And you know, Last of Us isn't exactly a difficult game, I guess, but it does have those same sort of themes to it.
Oh, so gotcha. Okay.
For me, that's kind of why I like it. Is you always feel like the underdog, no matter how far into the game you get.
Right. So that's it for my first question. Tarmack, do you want to throw one out to the group?
Is anybody else tired of Death Stranding?
Mech baby, yes, I am.
I am so tired of it already, and I just it's let's do shock for shock value's sake, and then the only gameplay that they show is, you know, it's a guy carrying shit. Like that's it. That's the game.
Delivery dude.
He is.
Oh my god.
Embryo delivery dude. Is that what skill up said? Did you call him an embryo delivery dude skill?
No. Uber delivery.
Oh,
embryo delivery also works.
I thought you called him embryo
delivery. Is very good.
Gotcha.
One of the sequences, you know, he's carrying like a refrigerator, and then there's a corpse. Another one. I mean,
yeah.
I'm just getting frustrated at this point. Just like there's so much ball tickling going on right now. And it's kind of like, come on, man. You know, like that's enough now. We're excited. Stop it. Do you know what I mean? So I don't know. I felt like it should have been unveiled later so that we could have had a better rhythm for reveals. Because right now we're 3 trailers deep and we still have absolutely no fucking clue what this game is at all. And I don't know. I love Kojima. He's literally my favorite dude. But at the same time, I'm like, come on, man. Enough's enough. Just show us a fucking game already. You know what I mean?
Mystery for mystery's sake, almost.
Yeah, exactly.
I think the chances that it's going to be any different than Metal Gear Solid is pretty slim. I think it's going to be a third-person shooter, you know, stealth shooter, and things along those lines. It's going to be the same kind of thing. It'll be ridiculous, crazy story, and that's fine. Like different world. But I
do not think it will be remotely close to Metal Gear Solid.
You don't?
Really,
oh, this will
no
be
way. I can't see a single similarity to Metal Gear Solid other than maybe it's set in Metal Gear 5 open world. What other things are you looking at?
I more mean in gameplay style, like the control scheme and combat and that kind of stuff. I think is.
I would be not surprised if there was actually no shooting in this game. Like I would be like, okay, cool. Kojima's going in that direction. Do you know what I mean? Like I'm totally serious. but I don't know, you know, like there's also talk about like the game will involve global collaboration or something.
Saw that,
players to work together to achieve something. I don't know what that means, but you know, I don't know. I just feel like Kojima is someone that he's never rested on his laurels ever. He's always pushed the envelope, and I don't think he would do this and then go, you know what, I'm just going to make something like Metal Gear with a different skin on it. Do you know what I mean? I don't feel that's his style.
Fair enough.
So my thoughts, first of all, I have to say I need to hashtag this with stop the ball tickling, because that cracked me up when Skill said that. I do feel that we have an abusive relationship right now with some companies and the way they treat the gamers. Bethesda's one of them with the teases. I really do feel we've got to that point now with this game in particular. I think it'll probably be in the middle. I'll take the easy ground and say that I really do feel that if they don't do shooting, like who fucking knows what's going to happen. I also don't know if I don't necessarily know if he is skilled enough to do that. And I'm not dissing on any of the development team or anything like that. It's just that would be a complete departure, and it would require different expertise, and I'm not 100% sure that we would want that even from this game. But I would certainly watch it. It just looks like a baby driving a human around. Like, I have no fucking clue what's happening. Every time I watch the trailer, I see some weird thing that I'm like, and you can't tell, is it a graphics fuck up or is that on purpose? Like,
that would be amazing if the baby was just a parasite and you're like,
it just controlling Norman Reedus, just driving him around. Skin car.
That Total Recall baby, you know,
Yeah.
one of the guy's stomach.
Quaid.
Like that one.
Quaid.
Yeah, Quaid. Exactly right.
So that's my thought on Death Stranding. It's a good question because I think everybody here, I mean, whether what we want, I think we'll probably all be wrong in a good amount of like what we're gonna 100%. Get, right?
Absolutely. Totally okay with that.
It's a racing game, guys.
Oh Jesus, that'd be Forza Horizon 5.5 is. You know what would be interesting? We need to all get together and once this comes out and talk about it because I also think it'll be a great litmus test for how he does without a heavy producer over the top of him, because. He's
like, will it go full Wachowski brothers and kind of like
exactly where you're just like mind blown and you don't know if it's a good thing. You're just
it's a bad thing.
Yeah,
Wachowski brothers.
Well,
that's a whole other podcast. Right?
It is. It's a whole other podcast series. Actually, we want to do it. Yeah. Good question, Tarmack. Do you have anything for us, Skill? You got a question?
I mean, was there any like major disappointments at E3 for you guys? Anything that we are like, fuck, that was not what I wanted to see.
Go for it first, like Tarmack.
Shit.
I was a bit disappointed with Nintendo in general. I mean the Smash Ultimate stuff. Obviously, they're kind of going whole hog. Let's make this the greatest possible Smash game that we can have. But then they didn't do anything else. You know, where they have more IPs. They have more things that they should be working on, and it doesn't feel like they picked their one thing. It was Labo for the last 6 months, and now it's Smash for the next little while. I don't know. It was just it wasn't. I want to see more from them. I want to play more of those games.
It just didn't grab you overall.
Yeah, I mean, I watched the show and I was surprised when it was over. They really just said, hey, we have one thing. Let's talk about the one thing, and tons of indies. I mean that's fine, but those are all ports. So I don't know.
So I don't ever want to say super disappointed because it is just a show, and I'm always telling people don't get too hyped up because a show where they show a game, it doesn't mean it's going to be good, and a game that isn't shown doesn't mean it'll be bad. But I will say that ignoring Sony's technical issues, because I don't blame them for that, right? That kind of stuff. And in fact, it was quite entertaining to watch. You know, I don't want to watch somebody fucking melt down, but it was sort of funny. That kind of stuff happens. I will say I was a little disappointed with them just overall. I expected a couple more titles to be shown. Just they always have a fantastic E3 and then a realistic E3. And then a fantastic. This is Sony for years. They do these opposite E3s where it's like one time fantastical stuff will be happening. Your PS4 will control Scud missiles, and you're just like, okay, fuck, that's awesome. And then the next one they show what's really going to happen. This was their realistic year. I was just hoping for more. They did the VR announcements prior to E3 where they showed like Tetris, right?
Tetris, yeah.
On PSVR. And then they're like, well, we don't want it to get lost amongst the games. So that caused me, of course, to think there would be more. And then we got into it and I was like, there's not as much as I expected. So that I would say overall, just I wanted more from them, not in a bad way, but just in, I think they probably had more to offer. I get why they don't do it. They have their own show. So does Microsoft. But that would be mine.
Yeah. I feel like with Sony, I feel like they're getting a bit of a bum rap. Like, because at the end of the day, they showed like 4 games that are going to be coming out in the next, let's say, 18 months to 2 years. Okay. They're all like very, very high quality games. You know, I played Spider-Man. Excellent. I went behind closed doors with Ghost of Tsushima and it looks incredible. The Last of Us 2 is not my jam, but I know a lot of people just froth on that game so hard it's their entire life. And the other one was Death Stranding, which we just spoke about, right? So all of those games are system sellers, you know, like they're real hardcore, high quality, top shelf exclusives. And they're coming out in the next little while. Xbox, I think they had a fantastic show. It was definitely, I think it was a stronger show because of the breadth of their library and what have you. But at the same time, it wasn't quite their library. It's like a lot of the stuff they showed is also coming out on the PlayStation. It was a show that was really talking about their acquisition of studios and their forward strategy. I think that, you know, the Sony show wasn't as snazzy as the Xbox show. But at the end of the day, like you're going to buy those 4 games. And what are you going to buy on Xbox in the next little while? Crackdown? I'm not going to buy Crackdown. Do you know what I mean? Like, so there was so much yelling in that Crackdown trailer, by the way. Oh my God. so glad they only did that trailer for like 2 minutes. If that trailer went on for like 10 minutes, I would be like, no, I'm out of here. I'm leaving the fucking show.
I'm leaving. I'm done.
So I hear what you're saying with Sony. I definitely feel like it wasn't as, oh my God, as the other years.
Yeah.
But I do feel like they know where their bread is buttered, and they did that, and they did it right. And at the end of the day, like, we're going to buy those games. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, that makes sense to me. Tarmack, yeah, do you agree?
That's fair. Yeah. I mean, Microsoft has always been a little too awkward in their press events. And that's one thing that I'll definitely give to Sony is even when they miss, as people will like to say with this one, it felt more genuine. It felt like they gave a shit more about the games. Like they actually cared about them. I don't know, just that general tone. Whereas the Microsoft one, they showed a ton of games and that was great, but it's always Phil Spencer up there talking from the teleprompter with his thumbs in his pockets. And it doesn't feel genuine. It doesn't feel like...
Really?
That's so like opposite with everything I heard. That's crazy. It's very interesting.
No, but I agree with that historically. Like, I definitely think in the past, the Xbox shows have been like sports and, hey, we've got a Porsche here. Check out, guys. You like Porsche. We don't give a fuck about Porsches. Like,
right.
But I think that's definitely been the case. But I think the hallmark of this show for Xbox... Wow, my Google is yelling at me. Sorry.
No, that's right.
I think the hallmark of this show was, like the fact that it was actually all about the games. And Phil Spencer almost said, guys, we know we're not doing super well on the first party side. So here are all these studios we bought. Do you know what I mean? Like, I got the feeling that they were responding to that feedback about their previous shows this time around. But I definitely hear what you're saying. In the past, it has felt like that for sure.
Well, and it is funny that Tarmac mentions that, because I will say one thing that absolutely... damn Microsoft for doing this. And I'm actually legitimately mad that they did this. They ignored Ashen, probably their most important indie all year. They ignored Ashen. And that, I know Derek off to the side, Aurora 44 guys, I've had him on the channel multiple times. Ashen is probably one of the most exciting Xbox exclusives that there is. And the fact that it blurbed up for like 40 milliseconds. I mean, it was like... and then it was gone. And I was like, are you kidding me? This is, and people on the show floor were playing it going like, how did they not show this? It's like Zelda, really dark cell shading, Dark Souls look. It's fucking... I
played it. It's really good.
Oh, did you? Okay, well, please, I'll skip my question. What did you think? Can you talk about it?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I'll rephrase. I played it not at E3. I played it at another show that I was at a while ago. I forget which one it was now. I think it might have even been PAX Australia, actually, last year.
Oh, wow.
And as soon as I played it, I hadn't even heard of it. And I'm like, okay, what's this? I played it. I'm like, what the fuck is this? This is fantastic, you know?
Right.
So I spoke to the development team, and they just told me a bit of the story about it. But yeah, it feels very Dark Souls-esque, but it's got a big focus on player collaboration, co-op essentially. The art style is beautiful. I don't know any more about it than that, other than it just looked fantastic, and I was really keen to see more, knowing that it's an Xbox exclusive. And when's it out? Do you know what the date is?
They just told me fall. That was the most I could get out of it. Yeah. So
okay, cool.
Oh my God, it's like Zelda, Dark Souls, and fucking it's the shit, guys. Like, if you get a chance,
that art style. What was that game called? Absolver. It was a fighting game that was released. Yeah.
Yep.
It looks very much like Absolver, but as I said, it's doing the whole Dark Souls thing, and the environments look incredible.
Sort of the sort of faceless.
Yeah, a little bit like that. Yeah.
Is it Xbox exclusive, or is it Xbox Play Anywhere?
It'll be PC and Xbox, from what I understand. Okay. If that's what you mean, yeah. Cool. And it's funny because I didn't write this down, but one thing that I am asked, and I got a question that was sort of like, could we generally talk about it? So I'll replace one of my questions. I do want to ask you guys what you think of this. So Microsoft, the people I've talked to, sort of the developers, as well as a couple people at Microsoft, not high up or anything, have basically really wanted to make it clear that from now on, moving forward, you should assume the PC is the highest level Xbox, really. And then which is another reason why they're redoing their app, supposedly to merge all this together with your Xbox X in the middle, maybe, in your S and your original as your low end. My question for you guys then is, when I say Ashen is exclusive, for whatever wording I use, Do you guys now think of that as one system like they are trying to push, or do you still think that that message needs to be pushed even harder out to like the public? What do you guys feel when I say that? Do you think of it as an exclusive, or do you not if it's on both?
I definitely think of it as an exclusive.
Okay.
That message has definitely got through to me at this point. So yeah, and I think it's a really smart strategy, because even last year I was chatting with the head of R&D from a major publisher. I won't say which, but he was talking about the fact that, look, in 5 years, man, maybe not 5 years, but 5 to 10 years, consoles are gone. Mm-hmm. It's entirely about streaming platforms. Mm-hmm. You know, head of Ubisoft, Uncle Eve, the CEO, he basically said, yeah, we're approaching the last console generation. Even at this show, the Andrew Wilson, EA CEO, was saying, yeah, cool, we're talking about streaming now. We're going to be doing more of that. Consoles are nearly finished, you know, and Microsoft are positioning very strongly into the idea that your PC is the window into their landscape, or one of the potential windows. They're getting the jump on that, and it's a very, very smart strategy that PlayStation are at this point a bit foolish to ignore, because if Xbox can build this understanding, build this infrastructure, build this this presence in people's minds that this is what you do, you play these games on your PC if you want to, you stream Xbox stuff through your PC or through other platforms, then that's a huge opportunity for them. And yeah, as I said, I think PlayStation are a bit behind the curve at the moment.
Yeah, for sure. Tarmac, what about you?
I think they have a bit more work to do. It wasn't lost on me that they didn't mention that whole Xbox and Windows 10 thing at all during their press event. And I know that it's the direction that they're going, but I do think that they have some work to do. I don't think that the average game consumer looks at a PC and thinks it's just a different Xbox. At least not yet. With time, sure. I mean, the streaming thing is just the way that it's going to go, and you won't even need a powerful PC eventually, right? It's going to be a Chromecast or something, some small device that you plug into your TV, it streams, and that's it. They're working on all those technical problems, but just give it time.
Australian internet. We'll basically have to sit out the next 3 generations of video games.
I was going to bring this up. So will we. That's what I was going to bring up next, is our bandwidth. We have caps almost all across America, and you have to pay to not be on a cap, or you're capped and you can't pay to not be on it, depending on your service provider. And so for me, as a reviewer, it's like I'll be sort of screwed. And I would say it's more than 5 years, but after that, like, it's hopefully we get these these larger internet companies to go out to Australia and realize that there's people there. Because you were saying your internet's worse at your new house, right?
Thank you very much. I'm on 0.5 megabyte upload right now. 0.5, baby.
Oh man!
You can send an email in less than 2 minutes. It's fantastic.
That's awesome. Crazy.
It's fucked.
It doesn't have to be. It doesn't have to be an active choice for them to kill off, owning games. That's kind of the thing that I worry about. I mean,
right?
If the big retailers decide at some point, which they're likely to, this isn't worth it for us anymore, right? As sales start to drop, people start to move digital more often. Eventually, Walmart is just going to not sell video games anymore, and Best Buy is going to do the same thing.
Yeah.
That's why GameStop's about to be bought out.
Yeah. GameStop is nothing but a loot box store at this point, right? I mean, that's all they have is knickknacks. So if big retail falls off the cliff like that, then it's going to happen regardless, and there are going to be people that are out in the sticks, or whatnot, that are just going to be left behind, because there won't be really much in the way of other option, which is really too bad. But
I think there'll always be that physical presence, though. Like, I have, hang on, I'll show you. I have vinyls, right?
Oh, right.
For, like, Nier Automata, as like a soundtrack. Do I need it on vinyl? No, I don't. But it's nice. You know what I mean? So I feel like it'll be the same with games. Everyone will be streaming it, but if you want to buy the physical thing, they'll make some special collector's
limited run. The company.
Limited run of like on the disc kind of thing.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? Like
for sure. But they're already selling you a box that only has a code in it. in
yeah,
a lot
absolutely.
of games, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's already started. Titanfall 2, I think, was one of the first ones that went that way. No disc.
Yeah. Remember when we
I
got
want-
manuals, guys? Remember when
And-
you'd
and
open a game?
cloth
Loved
maps.
manuals.
So do I.
Oh,
cloth maps.
Got
Yeah.
Baldur's Gate 2, man. Fat-ass manual, beautiful cloth map.
It was like that thick, and you were all, oh yeah. It was like you, and I would set time aside to read the fucking manual before I would even play the game. I'd be like, okay, gotta read, you know, and I know that that's nerdy, and a lot of people are like, we're past that. You're right, you are, but not everybody is. And I agree with you guys. I want as many people to get into gaming as possible, not less. So to me, I do want a hardware system, even if it's like a Steam Link that, you know, it takes care of those things. You know, some kind of hardware certificate where it's like one person can stream it or the other person can download it onto their special hardware, which then says you own it and you can play it at home. Because somebody in the sticks or somebody at 0.5 fucking internet, first of all, skill up is going to take a good 2 years to download a single game at that speed. Like, that's incredibly low. So it's like, what you know, you don't want to lose those people. So I'm very worried about that. I wanted to ask Skill Up in particular, and then Tarmack's been to a couple, and I've been to a couple, but I want to ask him in particular. Go into E3. This is, how many times have you gone?
This is my third.
Jesus Christ. Okay, so Jesus. All right, so your third E3. Tarmack's gone one time. We won't say when because that'll date him.
I'm a very old man.
What do you feel it is worth it as a YouTuber? This is asked all the time. And what level would you think it'd be worth it? Like, how many subscribers do you think it doesn't make sense for some and does for other?
Look, you know, I think worth is obviously so relative. You know, I would go to E3 paying my own money, you know, taking as much time off work as required at any opportunity cost for the opportunity to go to E3 because it was on my bucket list to do it. It's like gaming mecca. It means the world to me. So from a worth perspective, I place a tremendous premium on it. From a return on investment perspective, I really don't think there is much return on investment value in going to E3. You know, like, I would say that if I was smart, I would probably stay home. And oh my God, your walls are collapsing.
My dog was like, "What's the fuck?" Anyway, so sorry. Go ahead.
If I was smart, I would stay home and I would cover E3 from home because I can get the best view of all of the press events, and then I can immediately do coverage on those. I can download all the same gameplay trailers. I can look at the video that Jack Frags uploads about Battlefield and do a video on that myself if I wanted to, because I can take his video and Matimio's and all these different people's and say, here's what the collective community is saying about Battlefield. And that's still a very clickable video, you know? So return on investment perspective, I don't think it's worth it. The saving grace of E3 is the networking. You know, like if you want to go there and you want to actually get your name on the map with publishers, it's a big deal. If you've got enough hustle to email them and be like, guys, I'm going to be there. I'd love to have some time at your booth. Can I come and see your stuff? And if they respond to that and they say yes and they meet you and you put, you know, you present yourself well and you sort of like, you know, you seem like a professional operator, you're more than likely going to get what you need from them in the future in terms of access to code or, you know, assets or anything like that, you know? So I would say that if networking is your game, then definitely E3 is worthwhile. But if you're just looking to cover things, then I don't think E3 is particularly worthwhile. And also as well, unless you can get the kind of access that I just described, don't go to E3 because you will just be in queues all the fucking time. Right. Like you'll be in queues for 2 hours to play a game for 6 minutes and then you're on to your next queue. I would never do that. I've never done that. I've only ever gone to E3 with bookings in my pocket because then I can skip the queue, I can get straight onto the thing and I can go to the next thing. You know, lining up at E3 is just the worst and I would never, ever do it. No way. Total waste.
What about you, Tarmack?
I feel like at the size that you guys are, most of the contacts you're not going to pick up a whole lot of new contacts at these kinds of events.
You'd be surprised, I think.
Do they have that much changeover where there's that many people? Yeah,
because a lot of this relationship is sort of a lot of this industry. There are some PR people that really get what you do, and they're like, you know, for example, like Activision, right? I've said so much negative shit about Activision and what they've done with COD and what they're doing with Destiny. But the person that works there in the Activision PR, like they understand what I'm doing. They kind of like, they get that. They know that I'm not this toxic troll. They know that I'm critical of X, Y, and Z. So for that reason, yeah, that relationship exists, you know what I mean? And being able to go there and meet with them face to face helps strengthen that. Or, you know, new people join and they can also meet me and see what I'm about, and they sort of see this person rather than being this like angry Destiny hater, you know what I mean? Which, I don't know, some people think I am. So I do feel as though, you know, from the turnover perspective and just reinforcing relationships, there's still some value in that.
What about you, Tarmac?
Well,
I mean, do you?
Fair enough. I think if you're doing YouTube videos and networking is not your thing, then stop now. I mean, you have to be willing to talk to people. I think that's so important. You have to be willing to send an email out to a PR person, and everything that SkillUp's talking about, you know, booking appointments. You don't have to be a huge channel to be able to book appointments with PR companies. You might not get Activision's attention, but you're going to get attention from Evolve and, you know, a bunch of these smaller sort of groups that help out a lot of the indies. You can book some of those appointments. Yeah. I think going to events in a, you know, not too liberal way, go to a couple. Sure, why not? You can pick up some great contacts. You know, take some business cards with you and pass them around, and yeah, I've had some success with it. GDC was all right. I don't think that I'll go again. PAX was good. I wanted to go to E3. I just didn't. It didn't end up working out. So,
yeah, for me, I would also state. So I agree with everything everybody said. I would say the one additional thing that Tarmac sort of hinted at, which is which event. GDC is more of a developer, and you can get lucky at GDC too, because there isn't as many YouTubers there, or isn't many people from Twitch there, which I was lucky, and I went and there was almost nobody. So it was like everybody I wanted to talk to, you know, I got to ask a question of, or meet and get a business card from, what have you. I think also the only thing that really comes up is some of these guys get 8,000 people saying hello. And they don't really realize that while it does help sometimes you're going to meet somebody and it won't turn out to be anything. And you have to, so what I do is I say, go, you know, if you're good at hustling, go talk to as many people as you can, but understand that they're not all going to either like you or respond to your stuff. Like I had to do a video where I explained to people, I'm like, if you're a YouTuber, there are going to be developers who do not like you. They may not say it, but you're going to be able to tell. There's going to be particular things that you don't get, or you don't get a response, and you're like, this seems odd. Well, guess what? It may be odd. They may not like the way you deliver content. That's fine. Go enjoy yourself for 1 or 2 times. But I think whenever you go to a conference, you shouldn't. You should go for multiple reasons, not just one. Like not just to network, not just to cover. Like SkillUp said, you go to the one. I have better footage than maybe he does, and I was at home. So, but he got the contacts. So. It's like you should go and really understand which event. PAX, for example, you get to see some smaller games, sometimes see PR, but also there's a lot of people there. And it's basically a giant armpit, so you have to be prepared for that. And you can enjoy playing some games there, but E3 is a little bit more of the business side. And it just all depends on the event. I mean,
I think as well, there's also a discussion about the idea that like access helps you grow, and I think actually the opposite is true, to be honest. Like what I mean is that if you are seen as someone with access to everything, people are going to think that you are bought, you know.
Yeah, right.
And that's certainly something that I struggle with on my own channel, like because I have a lot of access because of the way that I conduct myself. Like I put forward like a sort of like I critique things very honestly, but I do it in a professional way. Publishers see that and they're willing to still work with me, despite the fact that I can rag on Destiny for, you know, literally millions of videos, millions of views on videos. But Activision will still talk to me because they realize that I'm professional in the way that I do it.
Right.
A lot of subscribers though see, hey, this dude is bought. You know, Activision pays him because that's the only way he would get access. So access is a double-edged sword. You know, I would say if you're building a YouTube channel, don't aim for access. Access doesn't really help you grow. It's about quality content. It's about, you know, like putting out good shit. You're going to be able to do that regardless of whether you go behind closed doors on something or not. Right. And you've got to think about how that access affects your brand. Because if you want to be the kind of guy that's totally 100% independent, then you can't have that access. That's just contrary to your brand. So I've made that decision where I want to have that access, but I want to do it in a way that still has, that integrity and that professionalism. But I have to then balance with my audience when half of them, or not half, but certainly a section of them are like, dude, come on now. You're just selling out here. And I'm like, I promise I'm not. Trust me on this, but I hear what you're saying. Do you know what I mean? So it's definitely a double-edged sword.
It can also be funny because somebody like myself who, multiple Ubisoft games, I've been like Unity, for instance, just like one of the worst games I've seen. Microsoft Master Chief Collection, probably the pinnacle of absolute disaster. I mean, I would say easily one of the worst launches for a major IP. And Microsoft's like, here's the other code. And Ubisoft's like, okay, thanks. It really does depend on if you're professional and if they feel it's fair. Because if you're unfair, well, then there's no reason for them because they have no way to judge how you're going to cover the. If you're going to cover it fair and you're really hard on particular things, that's fine. PR people a lot of times understand that. It's that, like you said.
Sometimes they don't, though.
Sometimes they don't. The consumers, I think, a lot of times are the ones, like you said, who get a little jaded. As the last Batman, somebody said in one of those movies, he said, if you stick around long enough, you become the villain. And I do think with reviews that can happen. You do a lot of reviews and people start comparing old reviews to like the new one. They're all, what? And you can't win at that point. And you can't win if you're covering a bunch of Ubisoft games or Activision, because at some point people think, like you said, they just assume. And the best you can do is be fair all the time and just sort of rest on that. That was my question. Tarmac, you got something?
Well, so what if you had to pick out like a hidden gem or two, things that you had no idea about, genuine, and they showed a trailer, they showed some gameplay, they showed something, and it really piqued your interest?
Go ahead, Skill. You want to go first?
Oh man, that's tough. I'm trying to think publisher by publisher at this point about what I saw.
I'll go with the easy answer then, and that is Maneater.
Go on.
Maneater? Dude, I don't even know how to describe. I was streaming, and I'm sure, and you were as well. And I was streaming, and I was just like, what? And it was not the what, like, what? It was more like, are you kidding me? It just became cooler and cooler as they talked about it. And to me, I went from not knowing it existed to it, like I said, one of the games of the show, like where I was that interested in it. It was phenomenal. It's just, I can't wait. Even if it turns out to be bad.
And it's going to be campy as hell.
Oh my God, yeah, it's going to be campy as fuck. Oh, did you hear it?
Getting like some Sharknado kind of feelings about this.
They even said bigger jaws, didn't they? They said like you can upgrade your jaws, and I'm like, that's fucking amazing, man.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah,
that's pretty cool.
Any from you, Skill?
I'm literally looking through my schedule now and seeing what I like played and what I saw, and there was really nothing that stood out as like a hidden gem. I feel like everything I saw was what everybody saw, and all of the. I mean, the only one actually was I saw the Surge. Excuse me, the Surge 2. And the Surge 1 didn't get a huge amount of press. Yeah, it was sort of like you played it. I think, Carrick. I think.
Yeah. I even had David Hatani, the producer, come on the show.
Right, I remember that now. Yeah, that's right.
I loved it. It was great.
Yeah, I actually really enjoyed it in many regards, but I feel like it got a bit of a bum rap. Everyone was like, "This is just a shittier Dark Souls," you know. Right. So I didn't go hands on. I was behind closed doors with their their new footage. I think it looked great. I mean, the Surge I think it's got so much potential as an idea that it just wasn't fully realized the first time around. The development team, they're just doing more of what worked the first time around, but hopefully fixing a lot of the stuff that didn't. It looked really pretty. There was, more combat animations, more enemies. The enemies were more intelligent. They promised it's going to be twice as big, twice as many bosses. I mean, all of the complaints that I feel that we had last time around, they're sort of like laser targeting those and saying, let's fix those. So I really wish those guys the best because, as I said, I feel like that was I feel like it was a product that got a genuinely bum rap.
Yeah.
And I think it deserves a lot better.
Yeah, for sure.
What about that makes sense. That makes sense. My worry for them is that they have attached themselves to a bit of an anchor. Right. I mean, they could have taken all of the lessons of the Surge. Like I loved it. I thought it was great. But again, as you're saying, it didn't have a good reputation. It didn't have amazing sales and a lot of those sorts of things. So if you go and you make a sequel to something that didn't do extremely well, it can hurt the subsequent, right? True. Whereas if they made a new IP with the similar systems and all of the lessons that they learned, maybe then you have a Demon Souls to Dark Souls kind of thing, right? It's a different game.
Well, actually, one that really was stunning for me, we all saw Sekiro Shadows Die Twice, the new FromSoft game. And just seeing that, I had no idea it existed. It just popped up all of a sudden in the Xbox press event, and I was like, oh my God, I need this right now. Give it to me, because I'm obviously a huge, that genre, Dark Souls genre.
Were you a Neo
just
fan?
Looked amazing.
Skill? Were you a Neo fan?
You know what? I think I played Neo at the wrong time, because I think I just finished Dark Souls 3 when I picked it up. And then I think I was just exhausted from the genre. I needed a break. So I remember playing like maybe 6 hours of Neo and being like, this is good. I like this, but I can't do this right now, and it's definitely a game I plan to return to, because everyone that's played it properly, whose opinion I respect, has said that it is an excellent video game. So it's definitely on the list. I'm such a sucker for Japan as well. That's why, like,
Me too.
Ghost of Tsushima was just like, oh my God, I need this. It's so good, that whole thing works for me so well. So
I want FromSoft to stop doing hair. I watched the trailer and
rendering hair.
Want to play the game. I really want to play it, but it didn't look.
They're worse than BioWare,
gen.
Which is strange, but it's terrible.
The graphics quality didn't look next gen to me. It looked like
I so don't care about that though.
Totally with you. Damn rights, I'm going to play it. Absolutely.
Sure.
I don't know.
Fair enough.
I will say with Surge, it's funny because Tarmack was talking about, like, do you make a sequel if your first one doesn't do great, which is a good question. And I asked David that because they did Lords of the Fallen, which I'm going to be honest, I wasn't incredibly nice about. And Lords of the Fallen wasn't terrible. It had a lot of bug issues. It had some other stuff. And I remember David was like, listen, as a developer, all you can do is collect what you've learned and make sure that what you can move into your second title, builds on the mistakes you made from the first one. And I think that Surge 1, if you ignore the bump, like Skill said, where I think it got a bum rap too, even though I also had some issues with it technically, I think that they did learn. There was some stuff we saw in Surge 2. Surge 1, I love the horizontal vertical attack versus light and heavy, because every game's light and heavy. Every fucking game is X and Y, and you're like, really? Yep. And they did something that was, you had to watch for different things and go, whoa, I have to understand where the opening is, and not just in the light heavy standard format. So I'm excited for it, but I totally agree that it must have been I would have loved to have sat in that developer meeting when they're like, okay, Surge 2 or Urge 1, like what do we do? And you're just, it must have been, I'm sure I gotta have David back on the channel because I want to ask him that. It's a good question. Like, how do you decide? I think they wanted to tell more stories in that world, because if there's anything about Surge that I liked, it was the world. It was weird,
very much,
and Warhammery, I guess, would be the easiest, like dark,
like 40K,
40K, I really dug that.
Sure.
Skill, you got a question for us? Got something?
It's a very specific question, just about what do you guys think about Anthem? Because it's the great sort of white whale of EA at this point, and it's like BioWare's fate is hanging in the balance on this game, and you've got a portion of people that are let's just ask Carrick, what do you think about it? How's it look to you?
I will admit, what I saw, there was only one issue. I had two issues. One, graphically, it's already got at least one downgrade. Geometry wise, there was a huge difference from their old trailer to now. That was fine, but the flying speed looked weird. And then Ryan McCafferty from IGN said he was on the show floor and he played it. And then he was the first of about 1,000 people who played it who said it was good and that worked for them. So personally, I feel that is one of the few games I need to sit and play to even really say what I think. Because originally I was like, it's BioWare. I don't think they're the same BioWare that we had in my heyday of KOTOR and Jade Empire. It's not the same group. I don't think their games are necessarily mine. But from what I've heard from others who played it, it was much better than it showed, which is rare. Usually it's the opposite. But that's so I don't really have a full answer, just because my thoughts went different than what everybody on the show floor was saying. Trustworthy people, by the way, not like, I think Ryan's pretty open if something isn't hitting right. That's just me. What about you, Tarmac?
I'm surprised that they showed it so poorly.
Yeah.
You know, they have these still images and video sequences that are repeating throughout their presentation. Like you couldn't even just a block of flying footage that doesn't have anything else going on, but at least it's different than the flying footage you started with, right?
Right.
That was really weird. And then they've got the developers there talking about it, and they're not painting a convincing picture of what this game is. What do you know, and how is it a BioWare game?
Right.
Is very bizarre. You're creating a game that is basically supposed to be like Destiny, you know, in many respects, or at least that's the assumption at this point. But it's also supposed to have the amazing story that BioWare games are known for, but they haven't been known for that for a few games in a row now. Right. So what are we going to get? Are we actually, you know, all of the story is supposed to happen in this hub city area, and then you're going to go out and do multiplayer stuff with all your buddies out in the world. I want a good BioWare story. I really do.
Yeah.
But they're not doing a good job of showing that this is going to be a great game.
I totally agree with that. I mean, the trailer that was shown at EA was just so boring. Holy shit. It was just flying trash mob. And then they had that panel. And if you actually listen to that panel that they had, the questions that were asked were so inane and so dumb.
Generic.
Like, tell us what it's like to create a new world. And they're like, yeah, it's so hard to create a new world. And we'd have so much imagination. It's like, fuck off. We don't care about that. Have that conversation 3 years ago. Like, tell us about the actual game at this point. And they had, as you said, like literally early concept art images rolling throughout that presentation. The game is like 8 months away. We don't want to see early concept art. Like, show us the game, you know? So there was that. But then I went behind closed doors. I didn't play it, but I watched the extended gameplay sequence where I watched a developer play it. In fact, I watched 4 developers play it at once, okay? It's way more impressive seeing this thing uninterrupted end to end, okay? There's no question that it will be fun to pick up a controller, fly around like Iron Man, shoot a whole bunch of shit, and there's a boss at the end, and it's this massive bullet sponge, but you kill it, and it's really fun, okay? I'm very sure that core loop is going to feel really good for a while, okay? But I played a lot of looter shooters. It's kind of like that's my main genre. From what they've described of the end game, it's basically like go out, do missions, do the strongholds, which are essentially like harder missions of their harder normal missions. Collect materials is one thing they literally said. I am not seeing any evidence of a fleshed out, interesting end game at this point. And if every other looter shooter that's been released to date is indicative, I'm almost certain this thing will launch without an end game. I think it's going to have a leveling experience. You're going to get to the end game, and they're going to be like, okay, cool, watch this space. They're going to be so frantically trying to get this thing out the door for, March next year, that they're going to just like, let's just make sure this thing flies. And then after that, let's make it into something decent. You know, it was like that with Division, it was like that with Destiny. I will give you $1 billion if it's not like that this time around as well.
There'll totally be a patch in July. Oh yeah, the end game's coming. Don't worry.
Exactly.
It's on its way.
You know, totally. I think the other thing as well, as you've exactly said, is BioWare component, where I saw a little bit of a cutscene that you didn't see in the trailer, and it was weird. It was kind of like the facial animations and the.
Oh no, I don't want to hear this. I don't want to hear this shit. I don't want to hear
the character. The characters look weird, man. Like ask other people who saw this footage. Say the same thing. You know, Andromeda had all these issues with facial animations being wrong, but here it was the face design that looked weird, and it was just kind of the dialogue wasn't quite right, and I don't know, it didn't land for me. And it was really short, so I don't want to say that that's it, but it didn't leave me with a lot of confidence. We know there's no romance options, which I know is a small detail, but I feel like it's a BioWare thing to have cool romance options in your BioWare. It's a thing, you know what I mean? And to not have that gives me another thing to be concerned about. But more than anything else, I just feel like they're just doing Destiny 2 point something or other. You know, like it's not interested in telling a really good story. Right. It's about let's create a giant sandbox that keeps people grinding so we can continue to sell cosmetics and DLC. I think it'll be fun to play. I mean, I'm looking forward to it, to be honest with you. But I'm looking forward to it in the context of another looter shooter game. I'm not looking forward to it in the context of another BioWare game. That's the key difference for me.
I'm worried because they had Drew Karpyshyn on it writing for a while, and then he left, and then they got him back, and then he left again. That's a worrying thing, right? If he was just going to be on contract, but then they wouldn't have said that he's in the team again. And
I don't know. A lot of people are like, oh, it's obvious that he's writing bit up, and now they're done. It's like, speak to other game developers about writing and how that works.
Right.
You don't wrap up your story 2 years out from release, or well, he left about 6 months ago or something. So it's not how it works. The idea that he is already done and Anthem's all written, no, that's garbage. Plus the fact that there's all this DLC, which is core to the business model, and he won't be along for that ride either. So, I mean, I'm also quite worried about that, because he was the greatest video game writer. He is the greatest video game writer. To not have him on that project is disappointing.
You know, I want to do a video with Skill Up where we're going to call it something like, should BioWare have fucking in their game? Because the honest truth is, sorry, Tarmack, I do not think Anthem needs fucking in their game. I do not. I don't want it in a Division style game. If it's an RPG like Mass Effect, have your fucking. Let's do some crazy shit. But man, when they're like, well, it's not going to be there, and then people are bitching and they're like, okay, well, we want it. It's like, what part of the game did they show where that would fit in? It's like bang, 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 bang. It fucking makes no sense. Excuse me. I don't mean to cuss that much, but it really infuriates me because it feels like they were responding to people bitching, not looking at it organically and saying, no, we're thinking about this. It looked like they were panicking. And they're like, oh, somebody wants this, so we're going to add that. It's like, no, knock it off. It's like I want to slap their hands and just be like, just fucking do your own thing. But that's me.
I'm worried that they're building Destiny and trying to pretend it's a BioWare game rather than if this core city this core city area was a single player experience this is a BioWare game, right? And when you need to go do some combat, we're going to send you out into the wild and you're going to play with other people, and then once you're done that, you're coming back to the BioWare game. Then you can have your fucking in the city, and it's your story is what matters. You get that impact, but I don't feel like that's the direction this is going. It feels more like they saw Destiny 2 doing much better than late Destiny 1 stuff, and decided that they were going to go down that same road and try it. Because they'd already made a bunch of adjustments in Andromeda, right? The traditional BioWare method doesn't involve verticality very well. It never has.
True.
Right?
Yeah, for sure.
Andromeda had that aspect to it, so now they take that and go a step further, and that's fine. But they're not BioWare anymore. They haven't been for a while. The doctors are gone. The writers are gone. I don't know too many people there. Casey and Mark Dara, that were the two guys up on stage during the presentation, are still there. They've been there for years. But
you know, it's weird if you're ever a manager of people and those different people leave in your team, and you point at your team and say, go do ABC with your old team, and then say, go do ABC with a new team, even with one switched person, your end result will be different. That's why I don't think they are BioWare in the way, like Rare is not Rare. It's okay to say.
No.
They're not Rare. They're whatever they are now, right? And they've got the same name. And so to me, I think they can probably make a good game, but I'm going to tell you right now, my gut dropped when Skill talked about faces. I know that sounds like such a small thing, but Andromeda, watching people talk made me a little nauseous, like when you watch a cartoon character that looks fucked up a little bit and your brain's like, something's wrong. Nature doesn't look right. When that lady's like, my face is tired, I was like, my soul's tired. Like, I don't even want to watch you guys anymore. So those things bother me. Like, what if they are writing well, but what if the animation doesn't match up? Because BioWare, Mass Effects, right? Those, they looked pretty, I mean, we all had issues with Mass Effect 1, but I think they fixed a lot of their technical issues later. And I'm very nervous about that, man, because I want it to be good. That's the thing. I think a lot of people think if you're a YouTuber, you want it to be bad. And it's like, I can tell you, you can make some money if you do just clickbait stuff, or you pretend to be critique and you're just going to hammer shit. But it'll burn you out at some point. It's better to be excited, and hopefully that excitement's met by a product at some point in your life. Yeah,
for sure. So I want every game to be awesome. I despise Chris Roberts, but I still want Star Citizen to be an amazing game. I mean, he's an unethical jackass, but I still want it to be a great game because it would be awesome.
Okay.
True.
All right.
You never want a game to fail,
Yeah.
right? You want it to be amazing for
I don't know. We wanted Star Wars Battlefront to fail pretty badly. I was definitely gunning for that. I was definitely gunning for that to fail when it was at the peak of its bullshitness.
I might agree with that.
And I'm very glad that we put it to its knees. That was a feeling. It was a very good feeling.
Fair enough. Yes, business practices.
Correct.
Okay.
But that's only one example. But yes, yeah, exactly. I would say that's one outlier. Very extreme. Yes. But by God, it was extreme, and people made them pay for it. So hopefully that never happens again.
So then at their press event, they kept talking about no loot boxes, no loot boxes, no loot boxes.
Except for FIFA and Madden.
Except not a fucking mention of FIFA.
Of course. Dude, those guys have a Testarossa for each fucking foot from that money. It's a little bit like Rockstar. Rockstar doesn't give a shit. They literally are Scrooge McDuck rich, right? Like they don't fucking care. And that's exactly what those guys did. No loot boxes. And our next game, FIFA, and yeah, nothing.
Built on loot boxes.
But
it's
built on loot boxes.
It's totally catering to a different audience. Like we all switch up. We alt tab when the FIFA presentation comes up. We only come back to it for the cringe montage, you know, like we don't care, you know, and they know that. They know that the people that buy those games are going to buy the loot boxes. Right. And they know the people that play Star Wars Battlefront 2 are going to bitch about the loot boxes endlessly. So then they know how to play it, you know.
And that the vast majority of the people that play the FIFA games are not watching the press event.
Yeah.
Which is so weird that they keep like, can I just say EA's press events are so bad? Oh my God, just stop already. Did you see the Command and Conquer thing?
Oh my God.
It was the most heartbreaking, cringe, terrible thing I've ever seen in my life. Like, oh my God, the mobile game, the two former RTS esports dudes, the cringe shoutcasting. It was just the whole recipe. Why does EA do this? They are so out of touch. They have no idea what they're doing. Just stop doing press events. Or if you're going to do them, only show the shit we care about. Do one press event for 30 minutes with Battlefield and Anthem. Done. That's only good news stories then. Now,
you know the best part of that? The best part of that, though, because that was hard to watch. I get a little embarrassed when I see something embarrassing on screen sometimes, depending on like if it's a movie or something. And when that shoutcaster's like, he launched a missile, and the missile literally goes, and I'm all, oh shit, that didn't work. Like it just, and that's when it just fell apart. Well, it fell apart prior to that, but that's when I really was like, oh fuck, man. Oh, like I would be the guy going like, I'm having a heart attack live on screen because I don't want to be involved. Totally. I would roll off, fireman roll off.
I don't know. I just feel like I think what this E3 really said to me is there are games companies and there are companies that make video games. Right. Bethesda is a games company. They make video games that have a lot of heart. They take risks. They back their ideas. They're making some Prey DLC. That's this, you know, new amazing game mode, and it's apparently excellent. And they're making a sequel to Doom, which was just fucking incredible. And you know, we've obviously got Fallout 76, which is a departure. It's a gamble. It's something new. It's something different. Like, you know, it's a games company. It's a company that is through and through a video games company. EA just feels like this giant conglomerate that happens to make video games at this point. You know, like whatever is going to make some money for them. I don't really feel like the EA executive are sitting there like passionately caring about Anthem and its quality and its story. Like they don't care. It's fucking care about the cosmetics. Battlefield 5 is built entirely around the idea that we need customization across all the landscape so that we can monetize the hell out of it. I don't think the Battlefield community was calling out and saying, we really want a game where we can customize the fuck out of our characters and they look completely crazy. They want a Battlefield game. You know what I mean? Like, I just, you know, and I think even something like Ubisoft it's still a games company. They make weird shit. They do their Just Dance intros, and you know what I mean? They're goofy. They don't take themselves seriously. Rabbids is such a fantastic game, but I guarantee you it did not sell very well because it's like it's not a AAA monetized bullshit. It's just a good video game, you know. So I think even with Activision, you know, with their Call of Duty season pass, I don't know if you guys are across this. It's gross what they are doing this year with the season pass for Call of Duty. It's disgusting. That's an example of just more of this shit. Destiny 2, this basically compulsory annual pass that locks you out of the game unless you divides the player base. Like, I don't know, man. I just feel like you're seeing more and more through consumer practices and through what projects they're backing.
how these companies are shaping up, and I just don't like the direction that Activision and EA are going, and I really like the direction that Bethesda and Ubisoft and a few others are going. That was clear to me this E3.
Go ahead, Tarmac.
Yeah. I find Bethesda, when they do something wrong, it's not evil and abusive, it's boneheaded, right?
Yeah.
When they do the creation, like no, right, but you can see how they intended it to be a good thing, right, and it flopped for other reasons. Maybe it was a bad idea, right? But they're not a public company, right? The people that run a public company, their job is to raise the shares. That's all they care about. They care about the shareholders and nothing else. So none of it matters. So when you have the head of EA coming out there, he's going to talk about things to try and build hype and raise the share price, because it affects the people that matter to him.
But I really challenge that, because like, again, with Ubisoft, like their CEO, Yves, he made that company, and yeah, obviously his number one priority is to bump the share price. Absolutely, no question about that. Mm-hmm. But I really believe that the kind of projects that he backs, he personally backs those like Mario Rabbids, you know what I mean? And he would look at that and think, we're not going to make a ton of money on this, but this is a really worthwhile idea, like the idea that they stick with Rainbow Six Siege and they make it good over time.
True.
EA had Mass Effect Andromeda, it bombed. You know what they did? They fucking cut and run. There's no DLC with the missing arcs. It's gone. It's finished. If EA was built like Ubisoft, they would have said, you know what? We didn't make a great game that first time around, but we're going to fix it over time. So I feel as though there's a way to pursue the goal you've described, shareholder value, while also simultaneously doing it in a way that is consistent with what we want as members of this gaming community. And I feel like Ubisoft and Bethesda are doing it. Bethesda obviously has their moments. Ubisoft has their moments as well, of course. Sure. But I just feel like EA and Activision are on a totally different trajectory.
Yeah, no, I totally agree that it's possible. You can have a board member that does care about the product. It's just rare. It's not a common thing, because in order to get into that job, you have to be willing to step on people's heads. And Yves, he's just been around forever.
Well,
right?
he is
back when Ubisoft wasn't a big he's built it from the ground up.
Yeah.
Right. Him and his brother, I think, it's a family business.
Yeah.
So it makes sense that he's going to have a little bit more pride in the brand and all of that kind of stuff.
True.
He's trying to stop Vivendi from coming and buying them out and that kind of stuff.
Tarmac, I was going to ask you.
Totally willing to lie.
Yeah, well, true too. I was going to ask you. This sort of comes back to: is Rare? Is BioWare? I think Ubisoft still is sort of Ubisoft.
Yeah.
And EA is not. EA. Whoever cared, Peter Moore. For example, Peter Moore.
Correct.
If you follow and track him, he was a gamer, and also he's like Phil Spencer. They're gamers who then, because of that, because of a series of events, became the leader. And yet they're still accountable. Microsoft, same way. Look at Microsoft, very accountable to shareholders. But if you look at Microsoft's financials, they're doing incredibly well for the Xbox. If you start looking at like how much they're taking in, one of the reasons being that there's still some people who care about games. Sony, same. But then you do get the Activision, who I think their turnover or their bobbies, whoever's running the fucking thing. They, like you said, they're sociopaths, man. They got there by using humans as stepping stones. And I don't think until we get a Peter Moore to replace him, a Phil Spencer to replace him, I don't think the people underneath them can even control it, which is the saddest thing to me. Because a lot of people will tell me, they'll be like, well, they're a publisher, they're bad. And I'll be like, motherfucker, does publisher after your name mean you're a bad person and developer mean you're good? Because if you think so, go to fucking Steam and look at the developers who are shit. Look at the publishers who are just trying to get good games made. A title means nothing. Groups mean nothing, really. It's who runs it, who decides where the money goes, and how that happens. And I bet you $1 million there are people at EA right now who want to leave because they cut and run on Andromeda. I bet you there are fucking people working for them just going like, man, I absolutely hate the decisions we made. So, it goes both ways. It's sad as fuck, though. EA and Activision just feel to me like it's like how low can you go before somebody goes, are they even making games anymore? Or are they making apps that you just put money into?
Yeah,
because that's what it starts to feel like.
Makes me so sad for Blizzard, right? because they have the same kind of, they're obviously gamers, but wow, there's a lot of abusive shit going on in the background.
Dude, or look at EA's long list of fucking companies they bought and just destroyed. There's a great comic, if anybody gets a chance to look at this, where EA is leading the next, like, I can't remember who they bought recently, but they've got them, and they're like, no, you're a part of our team, and then they throw them into the pile of old names, and you're like, are you kidding? Because when you see the old, we all talk about it, but when you see the old names, you're like, holy shit, those guys are storied. Like, some of those people were making Westwood. They were making some of the greatest games.
Bullfrog Origin. I mean,
Bullfrog.
And
I forgot about Bullfrog.
That image has actually been going around for a while. It just keeps getting updated.
It just keeps getting updated.
The most recent we got was Visceral, I think, and
that's
keeps going. Yeah.
So moving from there, I want to talk about February. First of all, we're at an hour. How long do you guys have? I have all day.
I have about 30 minutes.
Okay, 30 minutes. Yeah. You have 30 minutes, Tarmack? You still good to go?
Yeah, I'm still good.
So February release schedule. So as I said, I still believe firmly that, like, Crackdown, they were like, hey, let's move to February. Nobody's doing February. And fucking now every single company's doing February. What do you guys think about that overall? Do you think it's good for the industry to fill the first half of a year, which isn't necessarily always been done? Do you not like the idea? Do you like it? What are your thoughts on it?
I think that a bunch of those that decided on a February date didn't necessarily talk to each other, and they all did it because they're scared of Red Dead 2.
Me too.
Sure. Totally.
The Red Dead effect.
Which means that the Christmas season this year is actually going to be lighter than it should be.
Yeah.
And that's just weird. It was very odd to see so many February dates, because February is not a good month normally. Like, usually
ever.
you get Christmas, right? We know that January is bad. February's rough. People are still dealing with bill shock from the holiday season, and it's March and April starts to get nicer again, right?
Right.
Just weird.
Yeah. It felt odd. What about you, Skill? What did you think of it?
I think, because like in America, your winter is, what's your winter? It's like December to
November to February is the
right.
Overall.
So it's kind of cold.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't know. I
to March, April.
Really?
Well, he's in Canada.
I'm in Canada.
He's in Canada.
We have snow an awful lot longer.
January to December.
Yeah. I don't know. I think it's good to see the schedule spread out, you know, as in general, like, it is nice to know that there's releases. But we had the same thing, I think, was it this year or the year before, where at the start of the year there were just lots of really strong releases. Like, I think last year we had I think there was one killer month, which was like we had Nier Automata and also Ghost Recon Wildlands, which was pretty average, and also Andromeda, which was pretty average. But we had lots of games coming out in that early window. I think it's nice that they fill that period. But yeah, I think it is also simultaneously a bit sad that we don't have these big, exciting Christmases where there's just so much going on. And I like to see retail do really well on that point as well, because, you know, it's like when the retail industry is doing well, it's good for everyone. It's good for the games industry. It's good for the economy. Like, it's good, you know, like,
yeah.
But at the same time, you want to see it spread out a bit, because there's only so many games we can review in a 2-month window. So for us, like our channels, it's kind of convenient. But I'm very sure we'll see some of those February dates slip now, because they are piled a bit too high in February, and I'm sure some of them will be like, maybe we made the wrong call on that, and they'll take the opportunity to fine tune a bit and then release in April. Do you know what I mean?
I would say I'm really happy for two reasons. The first being that that means like a game like Ashen will release in the fall against less competition, and I don't think Red Dead and Ashen really go against each other too much. So I'm very happy that we'll get some, I don't know what you would call it, just random focus on games that may not have got the focus, you know, before, and hopefully these companies back them. My assumption is a Microsoft, for example, isn't going to say Ashen's coming out and then walk off if there's not a lot coming out aside from Forza and Ashen for them. Hopefully they'll support those. But I do have to say something I always have a weird Twitter story. Prior to the event, I had been informed Crackdown had been delayed. And I stated in my Twitter, hey, Crackdown's been delayed. Is it the Red Dead effect? Or I said Red Dead effect, and I forgot the question mark. And as if I was stating it. And so people were like, yeah, for sure. Some people were like, I don't know. One particular person was like, absolutely not. It makes no sense. And from what I understand, they're a developer or publisher. Like, they're not a small person who was saying all this. And I was sitting with a developer as we were reading my tweet, and the developer's like, dude, I'm in one of those games. We did delay it because of Red Dead. And it was awesome because it shows, like, it shows not only sort of the weirdness that can occur with what people think is actually going to happen and why are people doing different things, but it also shows, I think, to me, the thought process that like a Red Dead can push things, and for sure does. And I don't think it's a dumb reason for people to move. Some people have like tweeted to me being like, why do they move? Blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, really? It's Red Dead. Grand Theft Auto 5 is going to be on the top 10 NPD when Red Dead 2 is released, most likely. It is still selling that high. So to me, it makes sense to move them. We may not love it, but for Christ's sakes, imagine being a developer of almost any game and going up against Red Dead. It'd be the scariest. Dude, my ass would be puckered, man. There'd be.
But I feel like it's possible to move out to November and.
True.
I do feel as though if we're looking at these February releases, I don't know that they are influenced directly by Red Dead.
Mm-hmm.
I think you could still release a game in November and be clear, you know. And that's also the other thing is kind of like, I wonder if this whole, like, I wouldn't release the same day as Red Dead, obviously, but I would sort of release in the window. I don't know. I feel like everyone's assuming that Red Dead's just going to be like the best game, the highest selling game, take over everything because GTA is big. But they're fundamentally different games, GTA and Red Dead. And I wonder whether or not everyone's going to buy Red Dead and be like, what the fuck is this? You know what I mean? Like, I thought this was GTA. They play it and they're like, this is not GTA at all. And they're really disappointed and they take it back. And word of mouth doesn't carry the same way because, yeah, they're fundamentally different experiences. A lot of people, I don't think, realize how.
Or what about microtransactions, Skill? Like, what if they have a lot and it's a Star Wars Battlefront 2 situation where people are so mad that they don't support it?
They're going to. I mean, there's no option around it. And I think that makes the next few weeks to a couple of months after it comes out to be really, really dangerous. You know, people are not going to be spending $60 on Red Dead. They're going to be spending $100. Right, they're going to buy the game, and over the next couple of months, and they're going to get this, you know,
special hat, donkey cards, as I called them.
Yeah. Exactly, right. You know, manure cards.
Yeah.
But they're going to be spending a lot more on the individual game, which is starting to happen a lot more now, right? And so smaller games and things like that are getting hurt because the disposable income is being absorbed into these massive, you know, microtransaction havens.
Mm-hmm.
I think you wait. I think you get out of that window entirely.
I feel like what the comments section is furiously typing right now is the single player for Red Dead will be fine and no microtransactions, but the multiplayer will be this microtransaction like Viper Nest. So that's the assumption, you know, like we don't know that yet. We assume the single player is safe, but I wouldn't make that bet at this point.
I wouldn't either.
Rockstar's, you know, history with this, given how much money they have made from GTA, I would not be surprised if they started putting some of this stuff into the single player as well. So I would agree with you completely, Tom, which is we need to watch this space because it could be really bad. Hopefully it's not, but it absolutely could be.
Also remember, this is from a company whose own owner stated, we are not microtransactioning our games enough. And I wanted to poke him in the eyes. I was like, what the fuck? What world do you live in? Obviously, he lives in a world where your balls are on a yacht somewhere. I mean, I think that's one of the biggest issues is he's disconnected. What were you going to say, Tarmack?
Red Dead's going to be a 6-hour campaign with 6 hours of travel time.
Okay, don't do that because that's just going to depress me as fuck, dude.
You're going to get triggered in the comments.
You're going to make me want to off myself. I don't. If that happens,
send them my way. We'll discuss it. They can come over to my channel and I will educate them in the comments.
This video had a great like ratio until that point.
Yeah, exactly. My last question, sorry, I want to go with Tarmack and Skill, see if they had questions, and then we'll go to comments. Is what I was going to say. So, Tarmack, did you have a last question?
No, you go ahead. I think I've hit just about everything that was. Maybe one really quick one.
Go for it.
I was a little bit confused and disappointed why the publisher of Kingdom Hearts 3 didn't have the nicest trailer for Kingdom Hearts 3. That threw me a little. They didn't have anything unique. They just played the same trailer that was at the Xbox show. And then later on, we got all these other variants of trailers that showed so much more stuff. But I mean, that's a pretty minor thing. It's just weird to me.
No, it is
They didn't
weird.
have something special for their own show. Their own show was only
It was just a video that played.
Yeah,
What do you think, Skill? Were you there? Did you get to check out their booths or anything?
I did check out the Square Enix booth. I just view that purely as the function of the Square Enix show is a new show. It's not very viewed. They knew that they were going to get more eyeballs on their trailers in other shows, so they decided to stick them there. And then they thought, well, we've got to do something for ours, so here you go, you know. So I don't know, but yeah, it was a pretty disappointing showcase. I feel like next year they really shouldn't buy it. It just sort of felt like a bit of a waste of time.
Last year we had Bethesda, and well, the year before last, sorry, because technically we've just passed this one, but we had the Bethesda one, and at the end, everybody was like, is this really the end? Because it just ended. And the Square one, they did their video, and I'm telling you, the entire time, I'm just waiting at the end going, is somebody coming out? Like, to talk? What's happening right now? And I was so confused by the entire event. I was like, is that it? Because it was. There's a lot of repeated content, and they have one of the strongest titles in a decade, which is Kingdom Hearts 3. For a lot of people.
It does look great.
It does. Oh, the fucking choo-choo train special attack. I was like, what the fuck? And they just showed the same shit.
The VO could use some work.
Oh, dude. You mean the voiceover?
The voiceover.
The 18-year-old looking dude who comes out and sounded like my grandpa was hilarious. He comes out and I'm not lying, he looks fresh-faced, no wrinkles, and he's like, so anyway, it sounded like he fucking swallowed gravel. And I was like, what is happening? Yeah. But from what Mr. Maddie told me, the guy I do the podcast with on Friday, he said that's pretty par for the course on any of their kind of games, that it's not necessarily matched up. But yeah, the voiceover needs some work. It was also reading script, it sounded like sometimes. Yeah. Like,
but it's going to be polished as fuck. Like that is going to be a brilliant title. I hope it's amazing, and I look forward to it.
So, Skill, do you got a last question?
No, man, I think I answered. I asked them.
Okay. So I have an excellent question. Tim asked this. Tim B. Do you guys think it's appropriate for people to bombard Steam with negative reviews like what's happening now with Darkest Dungeon over the Korean language issue? Real quick, if somebody watching or these guys don't know, they used a translation team that obviously didn't speak native Korean. And it's a terrible translation. And what's happening is they're review bombing it. So overall, how do you guys feel about review bombs?
I'm totally okay with the review bombs.
Wow.
Yeah, big time. Big time.
Really?
If you like, what is the objection?
My objection?
What is the counterpoint? Yeah.
My objection would be that you're not really reviewing the game if you're just review bombing it.
But a review bomb I take as, I find something that you have about what you have created particularly objectionable. I'm going to go to a place to leave a negative review in the hope that a lot of other people do the same thing, and we drive the aggregate review score down. That's your definition of review bomb?
Yeah, but fuck, man, I find that morally pretty reprehensible because, like,
but why though? Like, if for example, if you got a copy and you got and you don't speak English, and the game wasn't made in English, whatever, and they translated it to this absolutely horrendous translation, would you not go and be like, no,
okay,
can I go and fucking bomb this now?
I should clear that up. You're absolutely right if you're affected by it. Okay. But these are not people affected by it. They're not just Korean players who are doing this. So it would be like me having already reviewed the game, going back and saying, oh, they fucked up this translation, I'm going to review it back to a 1 if I gave it an 8 before. And I find
I don't review games just upon how they affect me and what I think about them. I like to try and elevate above and what.
Right, but returning back though, that's the thing.
Yeah, in solidarity for that, I would absolutely, like, for example, if Bethesda did some bullshit with a creation club, right? For example, I don't mod my Bethesda games. I know I'm an idiot. I know I suck, whatever, but I don't. I just play them stock, and because I just like them, and I don't want to have to go through all the instability issues.
Right.
Okay. Creation Club doesn't affect me at all. However, Creation Club is objectively shit. It's fucked. Sure. Okay. So in solidarity for that fact, I would absolutely go back and review and revise a review based upon that, because it doesn't affect me, but I absolutely recognize how this is negative for others. And I'm more than happy to lend my voice or my downvote in support of that idea. You know what I mean? So I feel if the cause is just, I feel it's important for people to band together to try and affect action, because the Korean players on their own probably can't, get the attention that they deserve. But if everyone has their back, then that's a good thing. Do you know what I mean? That's my view. It's my view.
It's fair. I mean, it's completely fair. What about you, Tarmac?
I think Steam should change their reviews.
Thank you. Me too. It needs to change.
The developer, there should be an average length that the game normally takes, and if you play over that length by 10 times or so, it counts as a positive review, and if you play 2 hours, it counts as a negative. I don't know. I mean, it's
2,000 hours played shit game. Don't.
Oh, dude, how many times have you seen that?
Yeah, it worries me a little bit. I mean, the thing about review bombing is that it's often like a crowd brigade thing,
right.
And people don't really care. They see it on the front page of Our Gaming, and they go, "Oh, I have that game. I'm going to go shit on them for a while," and they put the review, and they don't even play the game anymore, right? They don't care, and it doesn't matter. And I understand the solidarity piece to it, but the online gaming community is not known for critical thinking and actually considering what it is that they're doing. Review bombing a game doesn't really educate the developer on what they did wrong or what needs to be fixed. It just pisses them off. So I don't know that it does any good. And
I don't know. I think look at Star Wars Battlefront 2. That was probably the best example of review bombing. Okay, even though it wasn't review bombing in a technical Steam review thing, whatever. But the entire internet decided we fucking hate this, so we're all going to jump on it. And look what happened. Like the needle moved, and we've got a different industry now that is like the loot box is a dirty word because of the fact that we're willing to do that. Most people who are involved in that weren't going to buy Star Wars Battlefront anyway. But they looked at it and they said, if that happens there, it's going to happen somewhere else. I don't like that. I'm going to say something about it. So I feel like there's definitely times when review bombing is bad. For example, if, I don't know, there's some political bullshit and there's just an agenda being driven by some people and it gets very murky and whatever, you're like, okay, cool. Let's agree that in that instance, that's not the best thing. But if something is objectively shit, like this bad, translation, for example, I totally feel like it's okay to review bomb a title. Maybe I'm a bad person, but I really feel like consumers need to band together, because if they don't, then what chance do we have to affect change?
I think actually the best combination of all this is probably what Tarmac said, which is the fact that the Steam, especially Steam, needs to fix the way it even handles reviews in the first place. And they've tried. They're doing some things where it's like if your recent reviews versus your long time. So I think that's great. For me, I don't feel like I can speak with authority towards some particular things in some games. I can speak with authority about microtransactions because my dollar is the same as somebody else's, but my Korean accent is not very good, nor is my ability to speak the language. So I wouldn't know that. So I wouldn't feel comfortable going back and saying, shit game because of this, because I don't know, can't speak from authority on it. But I will say this, I would never have done that review for that game anyway. So I'm trying to think now of like games that I have reviewed that have later done it. And the funny thing is, you mentioned it right at the end of your comment, almost every one that I have an issue with is a political one. That infuriates me. Where it's like the company did something that, they didn't like with a pronoun or something, and the entire, entire group goes and attacks them, and you're like, do you have any cause to really do this? And what are you trying to do? That's another thing. Tarmac hit it right off. What are you hoping to do? Because are you hoping that the developer suddenly magically changes their opinion of something? So yeah, it's a quandary. Like, I've never liked bombing anything just because I don't know what we're bombing unless I experienced it. Sure. But I do agree with what you're saying, that Star Wars Battlefront is a good example of everybody getting together and not needing to play it to know that the microtransactions aren't the best idea in the world. So I agree. Yeah, it's a good one.
Yeah, the gaming community, really all that ended up happening, gaming community instinct that mainstream media picked up, right?
True.
The actual change came from mainstream media.
You mean like
we all affected, everybody affected it indirectly by keeping the conversation going, making sure that it hits the front page of Reddit. Then the BBC starts picking up stories like it. But EA didn't care until Disney made a phone call and said, we're in the news too much, stop it.
That is true. I forgot about that. And also it just happened with PS Now. Or sorry, not PS Now, but the crossplay. Sony didn't seem to care. and then crossplay is now hitting like major news, or and I just have this feeling somebody on Sony's calling Microsoft, going like, "What the fuck?" Like,
it'll be fixed in a week.
Yeah, yeah, or instantly, like the fucking dudes from Rocket League. Oh, accidentally turned it on just to put a bone in the craw. I don't know if it'll be fixed that fast, but Phil Spencer said Sony has never contacted him back, and he's tried to contact a couple times. I'm surprised Nintendo does it, guys. I'm just blown away. Nintendo, of all the companies in the world, they're the ones working with Microsoft? Like, really? Like, is that not sort of, in its own way, funny?
That's what we need. We need to have Mario Odyssey on PC.
Oh, yeah, we do. We do.
Give me Mario Rabbids Kingdoms on PC. You damn right.
Give me Master Chief in Smash Brothers.
Yeah, in Smash.
I'll buy all their games.
This is a very good one. We've got about 10, 15 minutes left. Right? Is that right for you, Gil? About 10? Okay.
Yeah, sure.
Noah Elliott wants to know if there is, and I'm not saying we'll all agree, if there is one false stigma about game development, what would it be? For example, if the review embargo date for a game is close to release date, it's because the game instantly sucks. So what is something we would love to remove from the industry as a stigma, as something that we've found hasn't been true for us?
I mean, I don't know. I think I would say the whole, like, just patch it is a big stigma. That,
right.
I mean, I having now spoken to a lot of developers over the last 3 years, I think I have come to understand game development a lot more than I did in the past. I still don't understand it, right? Because I'm a fucking YouTuber. I don't make games. I talk about them, right? But I understand it more than I did. And I think we have this idea that you can just click the fix game button. It's like you click it and then the game is fixed. Why don't you just click that button? I feel like there's so many things that go into even just the tiniest changes you can imagine.
Yeah.
Things like inventory space in Destiny is an example. Now, I do feel as though there should be more inventory space in Destiny, unquestionably. But the idea that you can just add more isn't correct, because it does all sorts of things to your UI layout. It changes the amount of server costs that you are running with. It changes the amount of, like, the for your console, how much memory is being used at any point in time, because it needs to load a certain number of assets. And that's just the 3 things that I know about. There are certainly 300 things that I don't know about. So I mean, I definitely feel as though there are times when it's perfectly okay to be frustrated with the developer and be like, why haven't you fixed this yet? And The Division is a perfect example, where they just had bugs that lasted forever and were terrible and just awful and game destroying, and they didn't get fixed. But at the same time, it does take time to fix things up, for the very least, for console certification, which is a really outdated concept that I don't think a lot of people know about. You can't just push something to PC to consoles like that. You actually need to develop a patch. It needs to go to the publishers to be tested, certified, and then it gets pushed like the week after that, right? So even within that process is already a 3-week turnaround time. Unless you've built into your game the ability to hotfix certain things, you can't do that. So I just wish that people could cut developers a little bit of slack on that. Not all the slack, but some of it, because I feel that's definitely a thing.
Yeah, it's a super good example. What about you, Tarmac?
I'm going to just layer on top of that. I think that is the one that matters most. And Bethesda talked about that a little bit about Fallout 76, when they were talking about how difficult it was to take this game and turn it into a multiplayer game. Right? The rhetoric online about, it's so easy for you to do this, or so easy for you have no idea what you're talking about, right? Fallout was designed around, and all of the variables that were assigned in the programming based around the player, right? Everything had to be based around the player. So if you take the player out, nothing works. So they had to decouple all of the old code, all of the everything from lighting to questing to picking up objects had to be rebuilt and recentered around the object or the quest or those sort. It's something as simple as that, where it just seems so silly, it can destroy a game. And so, when you get around to patching, they're going to have exactly the same problem. Something that was not an issue, 6 months ago, they make a tiny little change and it has this cascading effect that destroys something else that they didn't think about. It happens all the time. Like that's a programming reality.
Yeah. Those are awesome examples. Mine would be it's sort of in the same, I guess, in the same vein. One thing I absolutely hate hearing is that when somebody gets mad that an asset from a prior game is used in a new game. So it's not everyone. Yeah, but when you hear somebody be like, I can't, in Bungie, I think they're pretty egregious. But, you know, let's say you get an M16 sound. It's a good sample, right? You get a good, nice sample. And your next game comes out and somebody's like, I can't believe you use the same sample. Listen, motherfucker, the M16 didn't suddenly change the way it's going to sound. And an artist doesn't go and buy a new fucking tub of paint every single time. Like, there are particular things you can reuse. And I think that it's smart if a developer uses it, not just for a shortcut to cut development costs, but in a way that only the most fucking anal YouTuber is going to find anyway, right? Like, is that really going to matter? Primal, Far Cry Primal, a great example. It reused the height map from the prior game, and people lost their fucking mind. Yet no one knew that until somebody looked at every little detail. Nobody playing it was like, this is a fucking identical. Nobody saw that. It was that somebody went and looked at those maps and then started comparing elements. I think it's intelligent. I think people should do those kind of things, and it'll speed up development. I don't want them to repeat the same fucking texture. Like, that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that some of these elements can be reused, and they should be, to speed some development companies. And I don't see a problem with that. What were you saying, Tarmac?
Well, it's some of us assholes picking these things out and pointing them out to people, saying, "Hey, look at this! I found this amazing thing," and then everybody jumps on it.
Yeah. Yeah, I see it a lot, and I see the attacks. I think it's what you guys are agreeing with. It's like the attacks are getting tiring more than almost anything. It's like, okay, we get it. You're mad about something today. Write it down on the book of woe like a dwarf, and we'll fucking look at it later. It's like there's all these people making videos of everybody being mad. In fact, I would much rather have a video where somebody says, here's the good stuff, even if it's a bad game. I like that kind of stuff.
Attack the system. Attack the business model.
Exactly.
Don't attack the person. Leave the person alone.
Right. Yeah. It's not very comfortable to be that person either, because as YouTubers, we're in a system and we've been attacked. It's quite unfun. Just once for me. All my stuff's perfect. Last one. Jonathan says, I've been replaying the Prince of Persia games, and I have to admit, I kind of miss that series. What do you think would be the best direction for a new Prince of Persia game to take? Wow. Or do you think Prince of Persia is a goner? I think that's what Skill is just good.
I hope they ever do it. It's like, I don't want them to do what they did with Tomb Raider, right? Are you guys playing those Tomb Raider games?
I played Rise, yeah.
Yeah, you like it?
I did. I like the side tombs more than anything.
Right,
like,
yeah.
Maybe not the, what do you call it? Like the unchartedness of it. Maybe not.
Yeah, I think I just feel a bit fatigued by that formula at this point. I don't know. I just feel like I played it all through Uncharted with Tomb Raider, and I don't know. I played the new one at E3. It's called Shadow. Tomb Raider? Shadow, yeah. And it's perfectly fine. You know, it's like, but I just played it and I was like, I've definitely done this many times before. You know, I've got to jump from here to here, and there's a little puzzle where I've got to turn a thing, and then there's a cinematic moment where I'm like, oh, I might fall, but I didn't fall. I'm okay, you know.
Do you worry that Prince of Persia would go the Assassin's Creed route then? Is that what you wouldn't want to
open world Prince of Persia?
Oh, gotcha.
That would be, you mean like which Assassin's Creed? Like the new Assassin's Creed or the old?
The old ones, I apologize.
I would actually be okay with it going the old Assassin's Creed formula.
Gotcha.
I actually like that formula way more than the new formula. I don't know, to be honest. I would really like, if you do Prince of Persia, I'd love to see it go Thief style, like immersive sim. Yeah. Like give me like Dishonored Prince of Persia. You know what I mean? Like give me that. That would be kind of interesting, because we've seen Thief, which is medieval. We've seen like Prey. We've seen Dishonored. But if you set like an immersive sim back in that old Prince of Persia world,
right?
That would be. I would play that game.
And Dying Light has shown us that a first-person parkour style game can work. So
yeah, absolutely,
we could see that. That's a good. I didn't even think about that. What about you, Tarmac?
I honestly, I'm not a fan
of Prince of Persia originally.
Prince of Persia, and I mean, I'm very old. I used to play the original. So
me too.
You know, we're talking side scrolling. You know what? I'll throw my hat in for that one. Why not? A proper high res
side scroller,
back to a side scroller style
Yeah.
Let's see what that one looks like. I could do that.
See, and Ubi would like greenlight that project. I swear to God, because Ubi owns I think Ubi owns it.
They do,
and they would look at that and they'd be like, yeah, let's do that. Do you know what I mean? They're the kind of company that would totally be down for that. I think
Microsoft would too.
That game as well.
Ori and the Blind Forest is literally one of the best games I've ever played, and I think side-scrolling can work for that more mobile style of character. Yeah, I would agree with that. That would be awesome. Actually,
on the Switch.
I promised this one patron that I would ask you guys this, so I apologize for holding you, but Norwegian Imposter wants to know, can you guys just overall discuss Dying Light for a second and your biggest fears and biggest hopes for that game, or if you have any? Because I don't know.
I'm the one guy that hasn't played Dying Light 1. I know I suck. I know I'm super bad. I literally bought it on Steam not 3 or 4 days ago, being like, all right, Ralph, this is unacceptable. You need to play this fucking game. Just do it. So, yes, I will play it, but right now that's all I have to say on the matter.
Wow, I can't believe he hasn't played that. Tarmac, what about you? Oh, dude, don't say it. Tarmac's got a weird smile on his face, which makes me think he hasn't played it
Tell
either.
Me you played it. Tell me, definitely.
Are you kidding me? Oh, sorry, Norwegian.
So
we fucked that one up.
We did.
So, is there? Can I ask you why, Tarmac? Were you the same way, or was it just like other games?
No, honestly, it just never hit my radar.
Never hit your radar.
It never hit my radar. I try to find games that have some kind of a unique hook. More than anything else is what I'm trying to find. That's where, Beat Saber and Frostpunk and these kinds of there's something weird and off the wall about them. And lately I haven't had nearly as much time as I wish that I did. So no, I didn't get to that one, unfortunately.
That makes sense. Skill, were you going to say something?
Yeah, I feel like I saw it back in the day, and I was like, ugh, another zombie game. Ugh, I'm so over zombie games.
Right.
Like zombie fatigue. And then after that, after it came out, everyone's like, hang on a sec, this is really good. And I'm like, okay, cool. I need to play that at some point. But then it just gets added to the pile of shame, or at least in my mental pile of shame. And I just never got around to it, So I'm really glad that they made what is obviously an excellent zombie game and some really unique ideas.
Mm-hmm.
For sure. It's on the list.
We need to do a stream because it's co-op now too, and get all three of us to fucking play Dying Light together because it's so. I mean, I get it, especially zombie games. I mean, not to be rude, I love State of Decay 2, despite it almost always falling apart technically. For a lot of people playing, but I don't mind zombie games, but I can tell you, I get it. When somebody says, "Oh my God, another zombie game? Are you kidding me?" I do get it. In fact, Last of Us, I think for me, a small reason why I wasn't a fan of Last of Us is it felt like plant zombies, and I was like, nah. It's just like pulling back a little bit. So that's it for the patron questions. I want to ask you guys real quick. Do you have anything that you're working on that people should check out on your channel that's coming up or you've released here recently? Anything from Skill? You got anything?
I had a good look at the Division 2 when I was over there. So I've done a few videos on that. I am about to do my video talking about like what I thought about all the things.
Okay. And
then I'm going to be getting stuck into the Warframe. They've got a new cinematic quest out, which if you haven't checked out Warframe, I recommend doing so. Very good game, and it's free, and they make amazing cinematic quests, like just incredible stuff. So that's me for the next 2 weeks. And then I go to TennoCon, which is actually the Warframe conference or convention in Canada. So I'm attending that, which is going to be pretty awesome.
You'll be in Tarmack's backwoods.
In London. London, Canada.
Fuck, that may as well be in the other London.
Oh, really? Is it that far away from you, Tarmack?
From where you are?
Oh yeah, it would cost me the same to fly to London and Ontario as it would to fly to Vegas.
Oh, gotcha. Well, can you buy a moose and ride a moose there? You guys can moose. Just joking. What about you, Gnome? You do anything crazy?
You know what? No, I don't have an awful lot. There was some consideration. I wanted to do a video on Ubisoft and the hit record stuff that they were doing. This whole idea of almost paid mods, but more like it's just simply it's a contest to become, bring something and have it become canon in the game. Here's your poster that you designed or your model or what. because the concept of it kind of bothers me. So I was looking at doing a feature creep of that. I don't want to promise
it. Why does it bother you? Why does it bother you?
Because they're not saying that it's a contest.
And you feel that it is overall?
It is a contest. They have a very small amount of money they're dedicating to this, and it's
True.
not, you know, this is not how you find work for people. This is not how you pay people properly. You know, you don't get them to compete for it like that. If you want to put something in a game, fine, let's figure out a way to make it happen. I actually liked the concept of the Creation Club. I think they did some things really wrong with it. But I'm not keen on the whole hit record thing. So
I find the backlash to that so fascinating because I just don't understand it. Like, you know, for example, Warframe has something called Tenogen, which is basically just, you know, fan submitted stuff, and some of it gets picked, some of it doesn't. That's it. Same with, like, you know, Dota with like fan created content. Same with like a lot of games on Steam have that kind of workshop setup where it's like you submit it, and if it's successful, you can get a cut of it. If it's not successful, then you get nothing. You know, I'm like, what is the problem with that? I feel like it got wrapped up in this whole like spec work thing where artists get asked to work for free for exposure, and it's kind of like, well, I mean, I understand how that can suck for them. I do. Like, I'm not blind to that, but I just feel like this is a thing that people can choose to do or not to do. It's not they're being forced to do it. And if they want to be able to have their name in a game like this, then they take a shot. Do you know what I mean? Like, I find the backlash so surprising, to be honest.
Yeah, no, it's I haven't settled on exactly.
That's what I was going to say. Yeah,
that's where I said, like, it was an interesting enough thing that I want to dive a bit deeper into it. What bothers me is when you do this big publicity event and say this is an amazing thing that's happening, and you're only going to spend $50,000 on the art assets. Well, then the point isn't to get things into the game. The point is to advertise yourself, because $50,000 is nothing on a game's budget, right? This is not even worth talking about. So what are they doing? Why are they involved? I like deep, you know, sort of diving into those kinds of things and trying to figure out what the hell's actually going on. I would totally
watch that video.
So.
Yeah, so would I. That's the kind of stuff that I can't do. I'm way too dumb for that. Like, I can't. When I will say this, so that people don't respond. Well, you know, a fat kid. So people will respond, I'm sure, negatively to this. But one thing that the actor who came out and stated that this was going to happen. What was his name?
Joseph Gordon-Levitt.
Joseph Gordon-Levitt. I don't even know.
Levitt.
He did state that when they adjusted the script for his discussion live, they removed the paid part, which I do think fucked up a lot. They didn't.
Yeah, big time.
They and man, of all the things to not put in your fucking script, that would be the one that you would. Well, I mean, if I was him, I would have snuck it in there. I would have done an Elijah Wood, pretend I was frozen for a second, and been like, how do I get this out? Oh, and it's also paid, and just run off and hope nobody got mad at me, because that's your biggest deal, and they fucked that up. And then I think the 50,000 is a small amount, and I'm puzzled by it. But I would watch a video by Tarmack for that reason, because I think investigation into it might find something that makes more sense. Because when you step back, I love the idea, love it. But at the same time, when they announced the 50,000, I'm no lie. When I saw it on Twitter, somebody posted it, and I'm like, what? Wait, what? $50,000? That's a pair of socks in a game. It really is. That's not a lot of money. Like, why was it such a small amount? So I would love some more information before I, you know, throw it to the fucking wind or say I love it. I like the idea, though. I love the idea that my fucking music or something could get in a game. Yeah. Like, that shit's... Oh, and I know Tarmack's saying he does too. Yeah.
Totally, for sure. Like, if they were going to say, we have a budget of, say it's 50 grand, right? And here's how this works. We know that we pay artists at this and sound guys at this and all of that. We want to find the best kind of thing, and we're going to give you a portion, you know, for what your asset is worth. Fine, but I don't know. Yeah. The contest thing bothers me, and the dollar value just seems low.
And
it seems wrong. There's something not right about that whole thing. That doesn't make sense. Like, where the hell did hit record come from?
Yeah, one more mystery that we don't need at an E3 conference. This was a lot of mystery at this E3 conference, with things being announced that you're like, what? Whether it's a game or whether it's something like that. Well, I want to thank these guys for coming on. absolutely two of the best people on YouTube. So you guys, whoever's watching, please make sure to subscribe to these guys. Absolutely excellent content from both of them. Even though you're mad because maybe SkillUp decided he was going to play a game and you thought he was never going to play it again, or you hate Carrick because he talks fast, or you hate Gnome because of, I don't know how anybody could fucking hate Tarmack.
Canada. Canadian.
That's what. It's impossible, right?
You guys are trouble.
Trouble? It's like, really?
Yeah. We're burning down the White House.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I don't know how anybody could dislike Tarmack, which is funny because I've now messed up the name like 11 times. So I'm sure people in the comments are like, you called him Gnome, and you called him Tarmack. I apologize. I'm sorry for that. But I'll put their links in the description. We will be uploading this at some point. We're going to talk about that after this video, but we should all be uploading this so you can watch it. If you don't want to subscribe to me, SkillUp will have it. If you don't want to subscribe to one of them, you can certainly watch it on my channel and give me your money. Make sure to go to Patreon. Give me all the money you've got. I definitely need your money as much as humanly possible. I think Skill's got a Patreon as well.
The one honest Patreon shout out. Yeah. The first ever honest Patreon shout out on YouTube right now.
We need that cash, especially because of my huge drug habit. So if you can help me out with the prostitutes
and energy drink habit
and
energy drinks,
dude, I'm the only person with two liters in my hands right now.
And I'm gonna
say,
say,
not okay.
I'm gonna say, give them your money. Don't give it to me. I don't need it.
Yeah, no, Tarmack needs it more than anybody, man. Look at his studio compared to mine. I fucking put mine together in like 30 minutes. Tarmack's got this. Oh, shit. So does both of you guys. These amazing setups. And I look like a 3-year-old with
plywood.
Some kind of questionable issue has put this together. Anyway, thank you very much for watching, everybody. Peace out. Enjoy the rest of your weekend.
Have a lovely one.
Bye.